Iyanla Vanzant is a New York Times best-selling author, Emmy Award winner, and a highly acclaimed spiritual life coach who regularly appears on the Oprah Winfrey Network. She went from being born in the back of a taxi in Brooklyn and being a welfare mother to publishing 15 books and becoming one of the highest-paid life coaches in the industry. Need motivation?
Watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 to 9. For my top 10, top 10, top 10, 9 to 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Iyanla Vanzant, and my take on her top 10 rules to success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Trust yourself.
Had I knuckled down, had I really given in to the restrictions and limitations placed on me, I wouldn't be who I am today. It was my talking that saved me. Here was the classic, shut up, you talk too much. Shut up. Why you talk so much? You've always got something to say. And today people pay me well to hear me speak.
Yeah.
If I had shut up as a child, that may not have ever happened.
So you learned that you needed to learn to trust yourself. And I love what you say in here is that, there isn't a person you can ask in the world at some point where they didn't say, I just find it difficult to trust people.
Right.
But what you say, that's not really the issue.
No.
Learning to trust other people.
No.
The real issue is
trusting yourself. Trusting yourself that you're going to make the right choices. Trusting yourself that you can hear that voice and follow it. Trusting yourself.
that when people betray you, abandon you, don't acknowledge you, you will...
I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'll be okay. And when I go back and look at it, something told me, you say God throws a pebble, then he throws a brick. You got to learn to trust the pebble when you hear it. Very
Lord.
lightly.
Yes.
When you hear it, it's like, that's it. Oh,
It shows up, doesn't
like
it?
a pebble.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't pay attention to that.
Rule number 2, have faith.
And a faith for me is the inner knowing that dares your soul to go beyond what your eyes can see. So sometimes I will get a hit or a sense or an inkling or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I just know. And then when I'm not sure or when I'm not clear about it, I know enough to trust.
Rule number 3, take responsibility.
Who we are matters. What we do matters. How we do it matters. And therefore, we have to take responsibility for everything that's going on in our life. I know the crazy people set you up, but it was a divine setup to give you what you needed in order to grow beyond where you were.
Rule number 4, change your beliefs.
And you can see the commonality in that human experience. What is the wound that we're all suffering from?
That we're separate from God. A Course in Miracles says you cannot solve the problem because you do not know what the problem is. The only problem you have is the belief that you're separate from God. Because if you knew who lived within you and walked beside you, you could never be afraid or angry or ashamed or whatever, your wonderfulness of humanness is.
Yes.
So that is it, the belief that we're separate. The belief that it looks like I'm separate from you. You're over there, I'm over here. That, straights are separate from gays, blacks are separate from white. And our belief in that illusion and the physicality makes us think, I can do anything to you.
Yes.
When I'm walking in the supermarket now, I am your sister. I'm a demonstration of who you are, of who my grandmother was. And that's because of our oneness. I see it and I feel it and I live it so that I know every time I show up, I am a demonstration and a representation of past and future generations.
Yes.
So I got to be clear.
Also, if you want to have more self-belief and self-confidence, I've designed a special free program to help you get it, where I send you a video every day for 254 days. The research says it can take up to 254 days for you to build a new habit, and this program will help you get it. Once again, it's free, and the link to join is in the description below.
If you're not holding yourself within yourself as worthy, then what you expect from the world is surely gonna hurt you. We need to stop whining about what isn't happening.
So it's not selfish to put yourself first.
No, it's self-full.
It's self-full.
It's self-full to be first, to be as good as possible to you, to take care of you.
Rule number 5, stop worrying.
Worry is really a sign of control.
That's
People
true.
think they're worry warts, but they're really control freaks. They want it to come the way they want it to come. And when we can't control, we go into worry, which really is how we rehearse the worst thing possibly happening. That's what worry is.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, that's not going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and I'm have to, you know. So worry, it's really a control freak issue.
Rule number 6, reclaim the power of your mind.
When I say get over it, I'm giving you a process for reclaiming the power of your mind. That's what I'm giving you. Give every thought over. Observation, validation, examination, and reframe. Give every thought, observation, validation, examination, and reframe. Because too many of us walk around coddling and entertaining and validating wild thoughts, just like Rihanna said. We got wild thoughts.
You know about Rihanna?
I know about Rihanna, Khalid, all of them. They're my youngins. I got to keep my eye on them. Yeah. So, you know, we don't have the control of our minds. That's why it's looking like it's looking.
Rule number 7, live in the truth.
I grew up understanding and recognizing about ancestral study and cultural nuances and stuff. And my grandmother, the same Cherokee, was in the Kojic church. So we were Kojic all day, and then we was at the moon at night, you know. So it was good and not so good, because what that taught me was really to hide who I am, and that who I am is not really acceptable. You know, we didn't talk about putting plates down for the ancestors and doing all of, or you know, honoring the earth and what we do, full moon ceremonies. But as I grew up and I embraced my matriarchal lineage as a Yoruba, or my patriarchal lineage as in Chisleki, but we really work in the Lakota tradition. And I became a pipe carrier for them, and an initiated priest and an ordained minister, because the thing that I found is the commonality of universal law. And I live universal law and principle. The law of cause and effect, whether I'm Chisleki or Lakota or Yoruba or Kojic, the law of cause of effect is going to work. Principles, integrity, responsibility, accountability, compassion, honesty, those principles work. Now, the benefit that I have is that I understand how they're taught from a cultural perspective. You know, whereas the Bible will say, you know, thou shalt not lie, the Yoruba will say, the king does not lie. Or he who knows the truth has a responsibility to speak the truth. And the Lakota would say basically the same thing. If you walk in truth, you live in truth, then you bring the spirit of truth to the planet. It's the same thing. Thou shalt not lie.
Yeah. Universal law.
But I have it from a cultural perspective. So that's really what it is for me. And I think for many people, the thing that's missing is the culture. So I teach it from the universal perspective, but speak to it the way that I've lived it from the cultural perspective.
Rule number 8, be vulnerable.
The enemy is in me.
Yeah,
I'm not fighting the world. I'm fighting that part of me that says, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. And there's a part of me that says, come on, we're going to do this. And then the other part says, don't you remember what happened last time? Oh, you're going to do that? You can't do it. It's in me. And there's a part of me.
So that's where the real battle is.
That's where the real battle is. That is where the crux and the core of trust comes in. Those two parts of us, the part of us that would rather stay broke and miserable, complaining, living in the whatever, the mediocrity.
And why? Why? Because we're afraid?
Because we get to control it. We get to control it. I know how to be broke and poor and struggle and suffer and be angry. I know how to do that. I got a degree. But when it comes to being open and vulnerable, because trust, the core ingredient of trust is vulnerability.
Yeah.
That's the core. Being vulnerable, going within, following my intuition, and facing the unknown. I'm not gonna face the unknown, because I can't control the unknown. I can control the familiar. I can control what I know. I'm gonna trust that, even if I'm miserable, I'm gonna trust it, rather than opening myself to a greater, grander possibility that requires me to be vulnerable.
Rule number 9, work on yourself.
So we'd rather have our own reality show prostituting our pain and dysfunction for a check than we would to really take care of our business and, take care of ourselves and heal ourselves and come together and buy a darn network. We'd rather prostitute our pain and show our thong and fight each other and throw liquor across the table, because that's instant gratification.
So one would
that's
say,
what we tune in to.
the ratings say that Atlanta Housewives is #1 housewife show, right?
Yeah,
so we tune in. The Basketball Wives are coming back for a new season because we tune in. We tune in to our own demise. And I always say we give people the bullets to shoot us with.
Yeah.
So how do we stop doing that is the question.
We have to want to, Karen. We have to want to. And it's easier to try to be dysfunctional enough to get your own show than it is to do the work to not be dysfunctional. Because to do the work not to be dysfunctional and to look at yourself, to tell the truth about yourself, to look at where you lie.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is make a choice.
Life is as instant as you are. If you make the choice today that you want to be, because you're not doing it for the other person,
Right.
you're doing it for you.
yourself, yeah.
Do you want peace? Do you want joy? Do you want to move forward? Or do you want to be stuck in the past? So you get to choose. You don't want to forgive? Don't.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and how are you going to take action on it this week? When you schedule in what day, what time, and what place you're going to take action, you have a 91% chance of actually following through versus just a 35% chance if you just got motivated but never created a specific plan. And when you share your plan publicly and have some accountability, you increase your chances even further of actually following through. So I want to know your single biggest takeaway and your plan of action this week in the comments so I can celebrate you.
We have been so anesthetized to truth. We've been so desensitized to pain. And we've been so hypnotized to the lust for fame and fortune and money and looking good. And, I tell you, I don't want to be jumping all over the place, but this is so delicious to me. I grew up in a time when young women had to wear girdles because it was considered inappropriate for your behind to jiggle. Now, I'm not talking about the lovely little $78 Spanx that they sell now. I'm talking about some hot rubber that would have sweat running down your legs in mid-August. The thing that you had to wrestle to the floor to get your butt in it just so your butt didn't jiggle. And now we're living in a time where Black women are paying somebody to big up their butt. Where did that come from? We've been so hypnotized to the lusts and trinkets, creature comforts of the world, and at the same time being desensitized to pain, and just totally ignorant of the truth of who we are. That's how we got here. And it happened little by little by little.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.